Mike, turn your games down.
Popular spooky movie episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's all of a sudden in a desert with me tonight?
This is Joe Butler, but when the zombie apocalypse starts, please refer to me as Target.
That's good. This is Bill Tucker from A Gamer Looks at 40, and I don't have much other than I don't have much at all today. I'm busy eating. My mouth is on fire because they made my fried rice very, very spicy. So you may not hear me as much as usual. But thank you for having me, as always.
Of course. And you get to join in our Resident Evil, slowly watching the live action movies over the course of like 3 years now.
Yeah, super fun.
Slowly.
And this is Blair Farrell from comicbookvideogames.com, and I'm gonna rip me a porno.
Oh, man. I should have picked that one.
And welcome. And I think, Joe, you weren't on Apocalypse. Were you on Apocalypse? I can't
Oh,
remember.
Apocalypse, yeah.
Okay. I know Tiffany was on the first one, but she was done after that first movie. She's like, I don't need to see this crap anymore. So we are here to talk about Resident Evil Extinction. Came out in 2007. Doesn't feel that long. And directed by Russell Mulcahy, or whatever the hell his name is, and written by Paul W.S. Anderson, which is important because his wife was Mila Jovovich, I'm pretty sure, right?
Still is.
Okay.
Still is.
And that's how she ended up in these movies. So I'd seen this movie before. I haven't seen it in about 5 years. And I remember this was my least favorite of the series, but I've never seen the last one. I've only seen up to 5, and I saw 4 and 5 in theaters. And yeah. So what is your history with this movie?
For me, I have no history for this. I've really never seen. I saw again the first Resident Evil a million years ago. That was the only one I've ever seen. So this watch through is brand new for me. And so this was a brand new viewing. And let me just state it right here. Okay. Sometimes you look at a movie on Rotten Tomatoes and you're like, oh God, this is gonna suck. And I walked into that. I walked up to my computer going, Mike, I love you like a brother, man. This is the only reason why. And I had a blast. I like this movie.
Oh my God, I love that.
I like this movie. I was almost going to say I don't know why. I know exactly why. I really like this, and I don't know. I really had a good time with this movie. We shall talk about it. But
That's fucking great.
Loved it.
I watch these movies. I try to watch these movies like every other year with my partner because we unironically love these movies and also love Mila Jovovich. As much as I probably say that I love these movies, I do think this is one of the weaker ones because I admit this is when they really aren't hitting the weirdness of the series, and I was pretty much bored like 60% of this movie. But I've also seen this. Like I said, I watch this movie every like other year, so it's not like I know these movies like the back of my fucking hand already. So.
Okay. And Blair.
Well, I mean, I played Resident Evil 2 for the first time in 1999 on Nintendo 64, so after that, I was all in. So, like, when the first movie came out, I was there in theaters opening weekend. Same thing with the second one. I wasn't so much excited for this one because, you know, the setup for one was they're going to do Nemesis, and then the ending of Apocalypse kind of teased her being the possible villain. And then they're like, okay, we're just going to do this weird desert thing. And I didn't know how I felt, but over the years, I think this is my favorite, if not second favorite, after the first Resident Evil. I think it kind of should have ended here, and there's lots of story here that kind of makes the rest of the series stupid in hindsight, even dumber than normal. And we'll get to that at the end, and something you want to put a pin on as we go further. But so just something, I don't know, a bit of a look. I just like how this looks, and I can't explain it.
That's fine. I mean, a movie could be, if you just enjoy it, you enjoy it.
And one of the things that I'd love to talk about towards the end of this podcast is that get used to like that, because it's the same thing with the last movie and the first movie actually is the only movie that actually does it, where we get like a really big buildup at the end and there's no payoff in the next movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember very little. I remember the fourth movie has to do with a prison. I remember the fifth movie well, and not
the biggest bummer is that like they all segue into one another. Like the ending of this sets up something for 4, and then the first 15 minutes of 5 are a sequence in reverse, then played forward, and then her recounting the series, which takes up 15 minutes of a 90-minute movie. and then 5 sets up something really awesome, and for 6, and then it doesn't do that, and it's weird that they don't, because it would have been super cool. But we'll get there, unfortunately.
Also, I think, Blair, you could probably confirm this because I think you and me have both seen all of these, and might kind of remember some of them. Is this the movie with like the least amount of Resident Evil characters, or like does one have 0 characters at all?
Well, one doesn't have any, unless you count Jason Isaacs as an uncredited Dr. Birkin at the end, but then that character was changed into Dr. Isaacs for 2 and 3.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, one is that many characters. I think this is the second to least because all this has is an unrecognizable Claire Redfield and then Wesker.
And Carlos.
And Carlos.
Oh yeah, Carlos is
Can't
his
forget Carlos.
fuck. Yeah, he's so
forget
sexy.
5.
PJ? You know, the guy that was made up for this, right?
And then 5 has Chris, Wesker, Claire, and I guess Jill in the post credits.
Yes.
It's not post, I don't think, in 5.
Or mid credits, or maybe the end. I can't remember.
It's mid shit.
Because I've seen the movie with Jill in it. I've never seen the 6th one, so I can't say that. All right, but we're not here to talk about that. Not yet. So Extinction takes place. I didn't know this, but as I was reading, well, they probably said in the movie, but I didn't have subtitles, and I was upset because my stupid DVD did not have subtitles on it.
Listen, like Albertin, I'm sure it was there. You just didn't know how to access it. I'm telling you, I don't think they make DVDs ever. It might be illegal to have a DVD without subtitles, my friend.
I mean, I only paid like $5 for all 6 of these movies on one set of DVDs on a Black Friday sale.
Okay.
So it's possible they're like, we got to do the cheapest way we can.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I clicked the menu, said subtitles, and nothing happened. But I didn't go in the menu.
Maybe not compatible with modern DVD players.
It was PS4.
Well, I don't know. But anyway,
But I was upset.
But luckily, you don't need much as far as dialogue goes in this movie.
No.
You don't need it. And I'm going to say things that are negative. But all these negative things I'm going to say mean very little because, as I stated, I really had a very good time with it. Tonight. Yeah, we'll talk about it. But yeah, it's the open. Now, here's the question: was the open of this movie? This movie opens with Alice in the shower again, draped in a shower curtain. Again, shower running without wet hair. Again, was this a reshoot or was this literally lifted straight from the first movie?
That's what I was also thinking. I don't know if it's stock footage or if they just reshot it.
Because as you alluded to, Blair, it's only a 90-minute movie, okay? This movie is, it's 90 minutes. And the first 5 felt like the old movie just stapled onto the front of it.
Mm-hmm. I want to say this isn't stock footage because if my weird memory serves right, I don't think that's the same bathroom.
Also, the hallway would be a little different, and then she wouldn't look the same when she goes in the laser room, which is definitely not stock.
Yes, that's not stock, correct.
Or the hospital. So, no, they probably reshot it.
It's very beat for beat accurate. It really is. So
I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if this was their fucking house in general, honestly.
Right? They just they rolled out of bed. Come on, hon. Do you want to shoot the first couple scenes here? What are we doing today? We're going to Costco? What are we doing? No? All right, great.
It's a weird opening.
I mean,
I didn't mind it this time. Like when I was watching the movie, because I actually enjoyed this movie more than I expected to. I actually had fun watching this movie. So I didn't hate it either.
I didn't like this open because I thought I clicked on the wrong link. I thought I rented the wrong. I thought I rented the wrong movie. I'm like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I'm like scrolling over it, like it's saying Resident Evil Extinction, and I'm like, something's screwing up. Like, am I out $4? Like, what's going on here? So, luckily, it was not the case. But yeah, it really kind of screwed with me. And again, they're trying to do all the setup again. They have to really assume that you haven't seen the previous films, and clearly that's a trend through all of them. So,
I mean, it makes sense because I'm assuming people don't come back for everything. Like, there are people that, because especially the movies don't have numbers, because that's a thing that doesn't really happen at this point in time. It still doesn't happen anymore, thankfully. So, like, someone could just pop into a movie and be like, oh, this is the 3rd one in the series, but here's your catch-up. I mean, and it does it right. Like, you have the weird opening where she ends up getting killed, and all of a sudden you find out that, I mean, it's just a weird, like, you just see Alice get killed, and you're like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, I do love the part when they're piling all the dead Alices in there, though. I really do like that part. I remember when I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck is happening? What am I watching?
So before I go into like my weird tangent, Capcom cannot say that they they don't know what these movies are, or they don't at least somewhat like these movies, Blair knows what I'm talking about. Because if I had a nickel for every time there was a laser hallway in a Resident Evil game, I'd have 2 nickels, which you wouldn't think is a lot. And you know that there's a laser hallway in RE, the original Resident Evil 4, but they redid it for the DLC for the remake of Resident Evil 4 for Assignment Ada, and it's not even like this is a cheeky nod.
It's the same thing.
It's the same
That's
hallway,
funny.
and it even has it ends with the grid sequence.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, these
That's
movies
great.
made a ton of money for Capcom too, I'm sure. So
I guess.
It's funny because the actor Colin Salmon, who is the guy who gets gridded in the first Resident Evil, was also in Alien vs. Predator, which was directed by Paul Anderson, in which his character gets trapped in a net, which grids him to death.
Oh my god, is that fucking him?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
let's reuse the same death in 2 different movies that came out not that far apart from each other either.
It's funny.
So one thing I want to get into I have a story for the podcast, as I've told you before. We got to the part where it's a little further ahead, but I want to say it now before I forget about it. We got to the part where the main villain scientist is talking to the holograms in the room, and my husband's like, "Oh, I can't really hear what they're saying. Can you go fix the soundbar?" So I got up, and we have like this big honking 250-pound 80-inch TV, and it's weird that the TV's that heavy, but it's like a decade-old TV. My partner got it because the job he works, they closed out one of the buildings and they said, "Hey, we're throwing away these TVs. They're basically brand new. Come and get them." So I had to spend I bought a stand for it. The TV was so heavy, the sound bar, the stand bent, so I had to buy legs for it. So that TV's been standing on that stand, menacing over us for the last year and a half. You know where I'm going with this. So I get up to go fix the sound bar because I guess the optical cable was starting to get old or something because the sound bar wasn't working as well as it would. So I put in the HDMI thing, set over. I'm also, an edible in because I've seen this movie more times than I've probably seen been to work. So I'm like, yeah, movie's really good, blah, blah, blah. And me and my partner are talking, whole TV fucking falls forward.
Oh no.
Smashed it. And what's worse, we were eating pizza and we had marinara sauce. So it looked like the TV fucking killed one of us if he came downstairs and saw. And what's even stupider is my roommate heard it and he goes, "Is anybody okay?" And we were so in shock we didn't respond to him. So he put his earphones back on. So eventually he came back down. He goes, "Well, I asked if somebody fell." I go, "You wouldn't assume something bad happened. You just come downstairs."
I mean, especially if nobody answers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh, well, nobody answered. They must be fine. Let's get back to what I was doing."
Middle of Call of Duty. Yeah.
So funny.
So we're looking at this TV. No, what's worse is we pick the TV up. The movie's still going. TV's perfectly fine.
Oh, really?
So we had. Here's the fucking kicker. We take the legs off and lean it up against the desk. That it's like a little a table more that we were leaning the TV that we had the TV on. We lean against that. We hear a loud pop. Now the TV won't turn back on.
Oh no.
So the own weight of the TV is what killed it. Leaning up against it.
I thought you were going to tell a happy ending where it was not ripped TV. It was not even Resident Evil Extinction could destroy this TV, but clearly this movie destroyed your TV. It finally said that's enough and fell. It's a bummer, man. That stinks.
Well, the last Resident Evil movie that we did, it was me, Mike, and Blair. It was Degeneration or Damnation, and it was heavily storming at my house, and the power went out before I came home. But luckily, the power came back on in 30 minutes.
So what do you think weighs more, my CRT TV that you saw the pictures of, or your TV?
My TV, because like I said, this TV, I'm 5'9". This TV goes to my chest. It's not a big butt TV, but it's they clearly still don't know how to make TVs for this fucking TV.
Yeah, Resident Evil is a little cursing for us, huh?
Yeah, a little cursed. Just a little cursed. I'll be fine afterwards. Now, if my leg, if I lose a leg, and that's another thing too, nothing else would destroy this. The dog was laying on the couch, and thankfully it hit the ottoman before it hit the fucking dog. Thank God.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been okay for a dog.
Yeah, I was actually upset because he was kind of limping towards me, and I'm like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And he went, "Oh, you're acknowledging that I might have been hurt," and then he just kind of waddled towards me, so he's fine.
Off topic, but you reminded me. At one point, we thought our dog had a hurt paw, so every time we see her, she would like be limping this one paw. My wife's like, "Oh, are you all right?" And then all of a sudden, one day, she forgot and switched paw. She's like, "I thought it was the other paw," and all of a sudden, the paw went down, and she just turned around and left. She's like, "Jigs up." They figured out I'm lying. Yeah, it was like we were giving her treats and petting her, like, "Oh, are you all right?" And she kept doing the limping paw. Nothing was wrong. She just enjoyed the attention, so she faked it.
So basically, she pulled a George Costanza at Play Now on Seinfeld.
Basically.
She's done it a few other times with stuff too, where she'll act like something's wrong, and then we'll think, and then it turned out it's just nothing.
My Chihuahua does that. But also, just another future reference for how heavy this TV is, and I know I'm getting old. When we first got the TV to the house, I was putting it up on the first stand that bent, and I blew my back out. So yeah, this TV's fucking heavy.
Is the TV broken then now?
Yeah, it's broken now. Yeah, like I said, when we leaned up against the shelf to like, so we were just gonna place it down, and then we were gonna buy a new stand for it, but the weight of its own body broke its own screen. So
well, at least it was free.
At least it was free.
So did you finish the movie? I finished this movie.
Yeah, we have a 60-inch downstairs, and thankfully we have a spare 60-inch because we took 3 TVs. Yeah, and the spare one's in the hallway, so we're just gonna pick that up, and we already have a stand for it too. So yeah, it's all good.
At least that one won't break anybody. 80 inches is huge, by the way. We sold 80-inch TVs, not many, but we had them when I used to work in electronics a long time ago, and yeah, that's a huge fucking TV.
Mm-hmm.
So after that,
I'm trying to think of a good segue. I'm really trying to think of a good.
I got nothing, but I'll just jump into it. So
you know what else is heavy?
Initial stuff with Alice, and you see the dead bodies. This is when you get the title screen of the movie, and then you get the explanation from Alice about what happened. And I guess I didn't realize this exactly, but it's 5 years since Apocalypse happened.
Is it 5 years?
Yeah, somewhere it says 5 years. I Googled it because I didn't catch it either, but Google told me it was 5 years in movie time takes place.
Oh, and then we're also a word of reference if anyone wanted to try to guess it. No, Kmart is not the little girl from the last movie. The little girl from the last movie just disappears and never shows up again.
Yeah, they didn't. I know why Jill isn't in this because the actress was busy and they couldn't get her for this movie, so they just skipped her. But I don't know why they didn't just get because the girl. I didn't realize this, but I was watching something. She's in the end of Apocalypse when they rescue Jill, yet they just forget about her and never come back to it.
There's the Alice.
Now, here's where I segue into weird tangents because I haven't read it in a long time, but I have the novelization for this movie, and I don't know if that was based on like the original screenplay of what they intended, because in the novelization there's like flashbacks of them being on the run from Umbrella. There's a whole B plot with Jill somewhere else, because I thought it was basically supposed to be like Jill was supposed to be the convoy leader, but they couldn't get her because she was doing Aragorn or Golden Compass, one of those Harry Potter knockoffs in the mid-2000s. And they just put it in with Claire, but in the book it just explains like even how the virus gets out. Like one of the like zombies like bites one of the people who's guarding the gates in Raccoon City, and then he gets out. And I think I was reading the trivia that there was supposed to be a scene where there was going to be like a hearing or a court date, and someone like a zombie was going to come in, and that was going to be like, I guess the zero event for all this. And then you just have the exposition that the T-virus has apparently destroyed the ecosystem.
Yeah, that was
not how that works, but okay.
It was also too quick. 5 years is not it would have taken a lot longer than 5 years for the world to be this ruined.
I was to say, it's funny because you're right. The time period is definitely feels very condensed, but boy, do I love the Mad Max Resident Evil vibe. I think the aesthetics of this is really cool. I like this idea of a withering planet, even though you're right, trees can't get viruses. It's not how that works.
Well,
I mean, trees get sick.
In the first game, there is a plant that is infected with a T virus. So canonically, like there is plant 42. So canonically, possibly you can jump species to plants somehow. And in Resident Evil 2 2019, there's like plant zombie things. So they do have like plant monsters. So it's not out of the realm of possibility with Umbrella Wacky Super Science.
Okay.
And then if you want to get a little bit weirder even too, later on in RE7, they established that like there's an entire swamp in Louisiana that's like infected, and they basically have to cut off the swamp bog from like civilization.
Okay. Well, I did not realize there was a precedent for that, but that's okay.
I had forgotten all that, and I played the majority of games you just mentioned. So I played all the games you just mentioned.
And also, as we were in the chat, it's basically because like the director watched Mad Max with Mila Jovovich's brother and said, "Hey, we need to make a new Mad Max, whether it makes sense or not in this universe."
I love it. I love
think
it.
Made me appreciate the movie more having that fact than I would have before.
I like it because it's an original idea. None of the other for Bill's form of reference. I know he's never played any of the games. This isn't based off any game so far, and I kind of like it because it's original and makes sense because the T virus is a bullshit virus.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the MacGuffin virus. You can make it do whatever it wants. It mutates, does its thing. I just really like the aesthetic. I like the look. I don't know. For me, it was a very cool. Everything's dusty and grimy. Nothing works. Everything's full of sand. There was something very neat about that, and I think the costuming in this movie is very good too. Like all the zombie effects, they look really good. CGI mixed bag, but it is the era. There's some really deliciously bad ones, which again, just so fun. Yeah, but I think aesthetically it's very cool. I like the setting, and again, I like this Mad Max style Resident Evil movie. It worked for me. And again, I'm somebody who's not, like you said, Joe, I'm not coming from the games, so I don't care if it matches game canon or not. I just want to watch zombies get stabbed in the head with crossbow arrows. Like, this is all I'm here for. I'm here for nothing else, and some really very entertaining blood and guts. So yay!
The Sun Cake zombie look, just of them just being so dried out, was so like well done. And I remember just reading some of the stuff where it was like that was so much work to do it for like all of those extras, and then I guess they had to use some visual effects, and it was just kind of like an awful shoot because they're just like in the sun all the time.
Oh, can't imagine. I'd be so thirsty. All I can think of. I need some water, please.
So you mentioned the outfits, Bill. It's two things. First one is I agree with you. I love Mia Jovovich's outfit. It is very much like sand apocalypse. You got like the boots with the spurs, and you've got the long coat, and I love the goggles and everything. But then you have my other two nickel issue, which is there are some characters from the Resident Evil games. You have the introduction of Claire Redfield, who there's two things you recognize Claire Redfield from. One being she's wearing red because all the Resident Evil characters have a color theme. And two, she has a ponytail. Does not have either of fucking those in this movie. And she doesn't have a ponytail in the new Resident Evil movie.
See, at least she has a jacket in the new movie.
Yeah. She has red hair in this movie.
She's not supposed to.
I don't know. Yeah, I can see that being annoying though, because Claire, that's a classic character, right? Like, you got to get that right. I agree. Like, get that right.
I think Blair, red hair, yes, no.
I mean, it depends on like the rendering because it's hard to tell.
I think it's Veronica.
Yeah, I always thought it was more dark brown, but it can be like reddish. Because I mean, when you look at, say, like Resident Evil, when this came out in 2007, so the only references were Claire were Code Veronica and 2, both of which had like 2 different art styles. Like Code Veronica has like 3. Or possibly 4 for the character model, so it's really hard to lock it down.
Yeah, maybe it does go redder. I can't. It's been. I mean, I feel like it's red hair in Damnation, Degeneration, but that did not come out at this point. So.
And I think that's an interesting though for the movie itself, because again, when it comes to video game adaptations, you really have to feed both tables, right? You got to make sure that things are accurate enough for the video game fan. People are there because they like Resident Evil. And then you also have to make things good for the popcorn munchers who just want to go and see a dumb action movie. And that's not a reductive statement, by the way. I am slowly becoming one. I don't care. Resident Evil 3 is fun. But
even then it gets to the point, like in Resident Evil 5, like the live action Resident Evil 5, they introduce a character from the game called Ada Wong, and they're in basically a video game world. It will make sense when we get there. And in like Resident Evil 4, like the original Resident Evil 4, and I hate that I have to say that, like this character of Ada Wong is in like a red cocktail dress and high heels, and this character in this movie is also wearing it. And it's cool for people who play the game, I guess, to be like, oh, look, she's in cosplay. But also, this is totally impractical for their environment. And even like Jill in 3, Like, it's an iconic outfit, but like you're in a zombie world. I'm not gonna wear sleeves and have a totally exposed neck against a city of things who can bite me.
And there has to be there's a happy balance, right? Because you do want to throw those treats out to longtime fans, but so I think things like getting Claire right is a quick win. That's not something you should get wrong. You put little nuggets in there, that way the true fans get that little endorphin hit of like, ooh, yeah, that's cool. I get that. That was neat.
Wouldn't have been hard either. Just give her a fucking jacket.
Yeah, give her. Yeah. Hey, wardrobe, jacket, please. Yeah,
that's it. I mean, I know they're in the desert, but still, like other people wearing jackets, so it'll work.
And desert does not necessarily mean hot. It's an extreme temperatures.
And I mean, her thing is more of a vest too. It's like a pink vest, and in Code Veronica, it's also like a vest. So that's all they needed to do. But I think they got the character right.
Yeah, I assume so. I just love how we're such a bunch of fashionistas on this show. Like, I don't know, the taupe pants is really clashing with the
we like
55 belts that are around and the Tomb Raider shorts. Yeah, none of this it's really clashing. Yeah.
I mean, it's also 07, so it's less of a caring if the characters are right. I mean, you're just happy you get the name drop kind of thing is how we, I think we're more used to it. Like now we're actually getting comic book characters with classic costumes, not wearing all leather and spandex. So different time, but no, I mean, I agree. I was kind of like, whatever. I guess because I had watched this movie and this is more in my zeitgeist before I had played all the games, so it didn't bother me as much. So I played some of them, but not really until later. Not really until this podcast, actually.
Whoever's listening to this podcast, because I know people keep tabs of like Mike doing like shelf stacker box. I need you to bring up a counter every time Blair mentions people not having their necks safe in these zombie or vampire movies, because it actually is really funny.
Get to it. Start going back in time and listen to all the episodes Blair's on, but you can't search it. You have to just know what he's on. So good luck.
Well, it's funny because I have a friend, an internet mutual. His name is, well, I guess as a Player One podcast was a hacker alias, Insane Ian. And he is on the Game Grumps, know him because he apparently has the dollar amount of each of them and how much they won in Wheel of Fortune and all the various Wheel of Fortune games they played. And how many games they finished. But, I mean, this came out, and the thing, too, is, like, we just started watching the new Castlevania on Netflix, and I was just commenting to my fiance, like, the thing that's great about this show is that basically the Castlevania story is nothing, so you can just paint with a wide brush and do whatever you want. And it was the same thing with this, is that you have Claire, and basically the most you get from Claire is that she's very maternal and caring. Like in Resident Evil 2, it's basically her taking care of a small child, and in Code Veronica, it's her kind of comforting someone who's undergone some trauma. And in this, she's the, like, kind of mother leader of this convoy, so it's very much in line with like how Claire Redfield is.
Okay. See, apparently we're just upset that they don't have the right clothes, me and Joe.
Yeah, just a little bit. They could have given her a red shirt, and she wears a hat. You can put the ponytail in the hat. I mean, come on, movie.
Quick wins. The quick wins.
I do like how this movie is kind of broken up in two parts at first, where you have Alice doing her thing, and then you pretty quickly get introduced to the convoy, too, that aren't together, and then you have, like, two separate stories of them just driving through this freaking desert.
Yeah,
it works. Like, when Alice goes to the radio station in that first part of the movie with the family of cannibals, like, this was amusing to me, and I didn't think about this till after you guys put it in the chat a couple of days ago, about how it's very much like Road Warrior, or that type of movie, like Book of Eli, for example. Something of that nature, and it made me appreciate this little scene of her just being a badass a lot more. I just liked it.
It's just so stupid.
Where the guy is going to essentially rape her, and then she just kicks him in the face and murders him that way.
Yeah, in front of Ma and Pa and all my families. Yeah, she just drop kicks him in the face, little blood splatter. Blip, throw Mama from the train, runs over. She's like, he's dead. It's so stupid.
And the way they talk,
deliciously so.
They all have like that very like, redneck type hillbilly inbred thing going on with the way the voices and stuff. Come on, Ma! Like, it just, I mean, I've never seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I'm assuming it goes with that same vibe.
Yes, yeah, Deliverance and all that. Yeah, it's I don't know, but I think what really makes that scene work, and it's not characters. I think the action in this movie is actually, I think, very well choreographed. I think for me, everything made sense in space. Alice is using her environment in entertaining ways. She's kind of noticing things in the environment that she can use to her advantage. She notices that the platform is going to fall while the yokels are going, and their demon hounds are trying to bite them. All this is very entertaining to me.
What we'll get as later on, because Paul W.S. Anderson directed the first one, and then he was doing Alien vs. Predator, so we handed off director. It was Alexander Witt, who is mostly known for secondary direction. This was his first feature, and this Russell Mulcahy, he was the director of Highlander. So I'm assuming he's just more competent with like framing. Cause I'm not that much of a film expert, but you'll see later on, because Paul W.S. Anderson takes up the directing reins again, and there's so much fast cutting and slow-mo. Like 6 it's hard to understand what's happening.
Yeah,
that doesn't sound great. I did actually notice that, because again, I didn't realize he didn't direct it, but I could tell there was something different about it. Some of the shot selections are really good. I think that I noticed that this time around, especially when it's a little more still. I think the middle of this movie kind of sags quite a bit, but we'll get there. But it's there's definitely more style to it and a lot more craft. And I thought the action was pretty much across the board very well framed and well staged and a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was definitely fun. Like that was something I noticed this time around. Like I was just enjoying stuff. Like I wasn't, like you said, with the dog, and then when it goes back to the convoy, I was just enjoying the movie. Like when you're first introduced to Claire and Carlos, I mean, I wanted to hear Convoy, the stupid song in the background, because that's what it felt like should have been playing.
Breaker 19.
It did, because they're like, anybody got smokes? No, I don't got smokes. You got smokes? No, I don't got smokes. Like, it was stupid, but it was funny.
It's endearing. I think that's the term I would use. It's endearing. This crew of convoy people, and I didn't even recognize the not Josh. What's the character's name from 2? Carlos, thank you. I didn't recognize Carlos at first until him and Alice meet. I'm like, oh dang, that's Carlos. That's right. Okay. So it kind of was familiar in my brain, but I didn't understand why.
Character of Carlos has been in basically triple the amount of Resident Evil movies as they are in Resident Evil video games, not counting remakes.
That's funny.
He's only in one game. 3. What movies is he? He's only in the second movie and the third movie.
He's in the 5th one. You'll find out why.
Oh, okay.
Oh no. Oh no.
You are right, Blair. God damn it. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Okay, it's probably what I think it is then, because it's been a while. But just like that whole atmosphere of how they did it was just very amusing. And then it cuts to the round table meeting at the underground to show you like where the villains are, and you have that meeting where you first get introduced to Wesker and the holograms, and again, it's getting you more invested in the story.
Okay, so I have a weird tangent, because I am fucking confused, and it's Resident Evil logic, so it's fucking bullshit. So I want to say this real quick. Okay, so they're at the round table, and it's the meeting of douchebags, because it's all these head executives who basically ruin the Earth, and now they're like, well, how are we going to survive? And you have the head scientist who's what the fuck is his name?
Dr. Isaacs.
Dr. Isaacs, which you see him. He's the guy at the end of the last movie, whatever. So his plan is to make clones of Alice, but they're not perfect because Alice survived an apocalyptic situation. So he needs a clone to survive a very heavy, stressful situation, because somehow that makes the virus better. And when that makes the virus better, they'll be able to reverse the T virus and kill all the zombies.
Well, here's the thing. Well, one, I'm going to start a band called Wesker and the Holograms, because that's just an awesome thing.
And you're all going to wear glasses?
And well, that's another thing. It's like, okay, they have Wesker and he's wearing glasses, and it's like, okay, well, in the games, there's a reason. Well, later on, there's a reason why he has glasses. But like, okay, you're underground and you're wearing sunglasses. Like we all know in the games, it's a character thing. But they want to use zombies basically as cheap labor, kind of like Topher in What We Do in the Shadows. But also, it's like, okay, we have to find Alice. Like, they should just really send out a broadcast somehow being like, look, I know we're evil, but also, we can't sell anything if there's no people. So, like, if we just come in here, get a needle, we can fix the world. Like, they don't need to be so antagonistic. Like, the whole thing about Umbrella is that they're selling bioweapons, but who are they selling them to? Like, you know, they can sell drugs. Like, we're in a docile workforce. Like, for what? You're a pharmaceutical company. Like, you don't make bombs. You make, like, aspirin and bioweapons that you sell to people, but everyone's dead except for, like, a bunch of people in the desert and a bunch of scientists underground. Like, they should really be like, we done screwed up. Like, just come here. We'll, like, take a shot, and then, you know, we'll help fix the world. Like,
also, no, real quick too, because it's really goofy as well. They say they're running out of food, but they have the ability to clone people. Like, if your technology is good enough to clone people, you can clone cows and maybe even plants.
See, that's the whole thing, because 5, they also bring up the clones, and 5 is like a prequel thing. And you're a corporation who has perfected human cloning, but you're still so obsessed with selling, like, monsters that are turned inside out with lance-like tongues instead of perfecting human cloning.
They're not smart, okay?
They're
not smart movies.
They're Sauron. It's like, you can cure cancer. No, I just want to make dinosaur people.
I love that meme. I know it's a comic book cover, but I love it. Comic book page.
It's very. I think I mentioned it. It's very arbiter science. Science for the sake of science. You don't need a reason. It's science. But you're right, Blair. It's so funny. But you don't need to do this anymore.
I have a question for you, Bill, because I know that there's a part that early on in this movie, within probably the first like 15 minutes, is when you have Alice go to the gas station and she gets that Alaska map. When you first saw it, did you think that was going to have something to do with actually have to do in this movie?
What do you mean? You mean when she gets the Alaska map from the rotting corpse covered in flies?
Yeah. Did you think that would actually like, okay, here's the climax of the movie, or here's like, you know, not this is the movie for 2 movies from now?
Oh no! I thought it was just what? Well, wait a minute. Pardon? So they're gonna. Yeah, so I saw the map. I'm like, oh, I guess this is where they're gonna go and try to get to. Alaska's an odd choice, though. Little odd. It's ways away, and I don't.
Why not go to Newfoundland? At least that's only surrounded by water.
Well, but can you drive to Alaska? I guess you can.
Yes,
I guess
you can. I know someone in Minnesota who drove from Alaska through Canada to Minnesota when they moved. So yes.
Well,
Blair the Canadian.
The Wonder Woman 84 thing, where like in Wonder Woman 84, it's like, okay, we have a fully fueled jet and we're gonna fly from wherever the hell they are in America to Egypt, and like, you know, we're jumping way further to the end about how they actually fly. You cannot have a helicopter with that many people in it to fly to Alaska. Like, you're going to have to stop somewhere and get more helicopter fuel.
Yeah, and you think regular unleaded is hard to come by. Wait till you find... Good luck trying to find helicopter fuel. You're right. I had the same thought, like, that's how we're getting to Alaska. My first thought was, no.
You won't get there. Helicopter, I mean, it's too far. But I think, if I remember right, the 4th movie, they're still trying to get to Alaska.
No,
so this is a recurring thing?
There.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what's in Alaska, but I can't remember what movie that happens in.
It's 4. It's the next one.
Okay.
Yeah. So one thing that I want to talk about too, speaking of getting to Alaska and things not making sense, I want to backtrack just a little bit because we saw them having a pit of Alice. Do they have also the ability to make a fucking adamantium like level fence? Because their stupid asses, instead of having a burn pit for these fucking bodies, they leave them out in the open in a world full of fucking flesh-eating monsters, and they think that's a good idea. And you know it's not, because later on in the movie, you see more zombies around that fucking area.
Just throw them over the fence.
Yeah, or bury them, or like you said, just burn them, or do anything other than let them sit there and rot. There's no way. And you know they're not doing like 8 tests a day. But so these bodies are surprisingly well preserved for being there for weeks and weeks and weeks. What a bunch of messy Betsies. Please clean up your plate.
Just like, okay, we're gonna plan our evil super science base for the end of the world. Okay. Need food, generators, solar panels, 40 million copies of the same red dress and boots. Like, don't ask questions, we just need them.
Foreman, where are we going to put the burial trough? Pardon? Yeah, just in a trough. Just the body trough. We just need to pile these things up here. Sure, you don't want like a chute or something? Not just a trough, just a big old pit. That'll do.
We can't hold any more food. Like, why, sir? It's like, because we need the closet for the red dresses.
I love that so much. Sir, we can get some. I'm sorry for saying this, but we can just get some industrial-sized washing machines. Can we, instead of the giant closet full of dresses, we could do that. Nope, the dress has to be coded to that person.
And then we throw it out with her dead body.
Yeah, we don't. They just leave it out there.
Do you know how hard it is? Do you know how hard it is to get blood stains out of a red dress? Like we just gotta throw the whole. It's boots too. Don't even recycle the boots. Just throw the whole woman out whenever she dies.
That's it. Just like a piece of meat. Just like that's it. Disposable. So funny. Pretty good. And by the way, speaking of chain link fences, this really did bother me. There are 1,000 shambling monsters just growling and drooling against this little chain link fence. I think it was made of adamantanium or whatever that this fictional metal is. Because this is like little chain link fence, and they're all pushing against it. And I'm thinking, hey, Vault Tech, could you do a little better on the perimeter? Our plucky adventurers have these like beacons that they're using for their perimeter, and you got that thing 20 years ago from some roofing material company or whatever. That little dinky fence was really bugging me.
It's a weird take. Like, why do you have this fence? Like, you think there would have been a wall or something else that's made to protect your lab against the fact that it's underground, but still, I mean, the zombies got in there. You open the elevator up and they'll just come on in and you have infection everywhere.
You built a bunker that's 3 miles underground and has crazy laser technology. Certainly, sir, you could have built like a wooden fence.
Oh. You haven't seen the extent of Umbrella's crazy bunkers until you get to part 5.
It's 4. It's 4, Blair. It's 4. Or is it 5? No, it's right. You're right.
No, it's 5. 4 is the prison.
Okay, 4 is the prison. Okay. Oh, so one thing I also want to make a comment on. It's a little forward, but I think it's fine. So this is 2007, and when I was watching this movie, I paused it to check. So this movie came out after 4, but before 5. And 5 is when they establish that they are kind of sticking with like Plagas and like that kind of what they're using. And you know that because in this movie they don't really use Plagas, but in later movies they do. So in this one they just invent super zombies that don't go anywhere after this movie.
Wonderful.
Well, I mean, the super zombies is just essentially a reference to Day of the Dead and Land of the Dead.
Well, kind of a Crimson Head too, because I think the trivia they're just like, well, when we were making these, my point of reference was like the original series, and then 4 came out, so they had to kind of make a new threat. I also like when they kind of get the file. It's like, oh, in the games you would just find a random file on a corpse, and like it's a very cute little Resident Evil thing to like, do you want to take the journal for Alaska? Like, yes or no.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think about that, but that's kind of funny. I mean, during one of the early parts of the convoys, when you have AJ get bit by a zombie, which is just stupid, because this is a guy who survived. He's in Apocalypse. He survives that zombie apocalypse, and you just kill him this simple by having him get attacked by a zombie. And like, he didn't even need to be in this movie at all. You did not need to get Mike Epps back when he doesn't even do anything comedy really related in this movie. It's like he's just there to wrap up. We had him in the second movie, and he was free, so we got him back. But we're just gonna kill him off. No big deal.
See, yeah, I agree, but also I think it just kind of brings some weight to like later on too, because like they lose like almost everyone, and it just makes it so desperate as to what they're doing.
But not Kmart. Kmart, she survived.
Yeah.
I think also too, it lends this like ticking time bomb. Also, like in the back of your mind, like when is he gonna turn?
Oh,
right?
Okay, yeah.
So I think that's kind of part of it. Was there's now this element that the audience knows is about to go off, but of course the people don't. Although I asked myself too, did no one check him for bites? Like, did no one be like, hey, you look a little redness there by your camo jacket. We should take a look-see at that. Oh boy. And of course he's not going to say it, because then they'll probably shoot him immediately. Like, oh well, Hank, you're gone.
It's kind of a trope for these things too. There's always like the person who's like, oh, I'm bit, but I'm not going to tell anyone, which is why I love the season 2 of the Walking Dead video game, because Clementine gets bit by a dog, and everyone thinks like, oh my god, she's going to turn. She's like, no, it was just a dog, and then she basically has to convince everyone that it was like a dog.
No, what really irks me in this movie is the main point, and I notice it every time I watch this movie, is that CJ's bit. And there's like 3 moments where you're bit and you're not going to find a virus. He lets other people die when he could have sacrificed himself.
He lets the girl die that he was sleeping with, essentially.
He lets 2 people die on that bus. And then he also, he almost gets, I think, Kmart killed when they're in the fucking van later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
he turns, and I don't remember she kills him or someone else shoots him in the head, but
so let's. And these are the stupid things that I think about when I watch any post-apocalyptic thing, or people trapped in a thing. And I'm glad we're normalizing it now, because I don't know if anyone has watched the series Yellow Jackets.
no.
Okay. Well, they do in The Last of Us, because like one thing I always wonder about these things, I'm like, yeah, women have periods, and that's what I think about all the time when I watch this shit. Like, how do they deal with it? And I'm glad they're normalizing, kind of touching on it. So like, okay, it's implied that he's with Ashanti, like Betty, I think her character's name is. So
Literally
like,
Nurse Betty. Yes, Nurse Betty.
So
Nurse Betty.
if you're infected with a virus, saying you like may out with someone or possibly have sex, like, are you using a condom? How expired is it? Can these things be passed through bodily fluids?
Probably.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I mean,
Probably.
If it's covered by a bite, it would probably be the same thing.
These are probably things they don't want you to think about, but sometimes when the movie is not positing a lot of stuff, your mind starts to wander in certain places.
We're curious people. We just need to know these things.
To be fair, I know one thing that they show a lot in these movies, but it's never brought up, and I'm surprised it's not. There's plenty of moments, at least one in every single one of these movies, where someone shoots a zombie in the head and they get blood in their mouth, and it's just never brought up ever again.
Good point.
Yeah,
Another good point.
The only movie I know that ever does that is 28 Days Later, where he has blood drip on his eye and he gets infected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically you would be.
Because I remember watching the behind-the-scenes feature for 28 Days Later, and they were going to film an ending where I think they're like, okay, there's a cure for like the affliction, but you have to like basically drain all the blood out of a person and give them a complete transfusion. And they're that's
you're dead
stupid
then.
Because if there's a drop of blood in your system, it's going to ignite it. Like, how do you make sure that every single drop of blood is out?
You can't, unless you're a vampire. Yeah, that's just, you're dead.
You look like that. You look like the mummified aliens they found like 2 weeks ago. That's what it is.
And I got a question for you guys. So I didn't realize we were watching the Star Wars movie. When Alice is when she's sleeping and she ends up having where she's dreaming, and all of a sudden she lifts the motorcycle up in the rocks, and I was just thinking to myself, Luke, use the Force. Guess what reminded me of you.
All I can think of when all the levitation, I forgot to. So I thought she was having a dream, and I'm like, oh, that's right. She has Stranger Things powers. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. She has 11 powers. Oh, I swear to you, every time she used an 11 power, I was waiting for a little drop of blood to come out of her nose. I know, of course, it wasn't going to happen, but my brain inserted that every time, and it made it very fun.
I was waiting for Star Wars music to start playing, especially during that part when she's dreaming. I wanted to hear Star Wars music.
Oh, also, because I got the movie playing in the background too. Nurse Betty does check him for bite marks, but she doesn't do it very well because she has a crush on him. So whenever she goes, "Oh, you're fine," and she walks away, he lifts his shirt up to show that he's bitten.
Right. Yeah. And by the way, they also, it's implied that they steal off for a little hanky panky, and I guess they do it with their clothes on because there's no way. I guess you just take fully clothed.
It's only a rated R movie, so you can't take your pants off. So hey,
it's weird. Yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah.
Well, there's full topless nudity in part 2, so.
Yeah, you're right.
It might have been part of the contract. Paul W.S. is probably like, look, if I'm directing the movie, all bets are off. I don't want any other directors. But was there full frontal in 2? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember specifically in the commentary for 1 when I watched it back when I first got my PlayStation 2, and she was like, "Oh, there's my commitment to the film. You can see my nipple for a hot second." And one of the sleazy producers is like, "If you were committed to the film, you'd see 2." Oh. And then in part 2, when she's in the weird birthing pod, you see full frontal.
That's right.
And I think you are right, Bill, because I don't think you see like her like chesticles again until like the last movie. So you're probably right. He probably specifically said, "You can make these movies without me directing." Yeah. No naked wifey.
No. That's mine and not yours. Yeah. It's one of those weird things. It's a movie where literally buckets of blood, guts, like you said, turned inside out monsters. Mm-hmm. And everyone's very coy about the upper chesticles area. So it's again, I don't care. I don't really, but
that's what you're here for.
I'm not what I'm here for. I'm actually here for the buckets of blood and the arrows to people's heads. That's what I'm actually genuinely here for. So
and there's a couple scenes with a convoy, like where they just unload the bus and then like they're all scavengers, which I thought was kind of weird. But there's not a whole lot to say with that. But like you have the part, because the convoy's big thing is then you have the crows. That whole scene with the crows that comes up. That is a good horror moment.
I agree.
And I wanted to know if somewhere the guy that's driving the bus was named Forrest. I was just thinking that, like, would somebody go like, "Hey," I just wanted someone to go, "Hey, Forrest," just say Forrest just once before he dies, just to give me that joke. Forrest in RE1 gets killed by the crows. That's he gets a grenade launcher.
Oh, I know.
I just wanted to know you like why I'm making this.
I stared off the space. I don't know what that.
But the crow stuff was good and creepy. Like it's very. I agree. Like there's one part when they're unloading the bus into the other car and a girl gets hit and falls off and she's just swarmed by crows and just murdered. Like they do a really good job of making it just terrifying.
Legitimate top fears being like ripped or eaten alive.
You're pretty safe as long as you don't go find the alligators.
Tigers can always jump out of the fucking zoo habitat.
Yeah, but you do live in Missouri, so do you have a zoo in Missouri?
We have a zoo in Missouri. We went to the zoo the first time we were here, so.
Oh, so that's why you're scared of tigers.
But we skipped over a very important part though. It is the Dr. Isaacs being the most ruthless fucking scientist ever. Where I guess they try injecting the zombie with a regular Alice solution formula to see if it'll work. Because one thing that's touching the movie and bring up is Dr. Isaac is obsessed with finding Alice, and she even has like a which somehow she finds, and you can tell they skipped over they cut content from this movie because she just has a watch that's able to keep track of the Umbrella satellite.
Well, she has a line of dialogue where she's like, I broke into a facility and hacked their servers so I know when the satellites are overhead, so I know when to basically hide myself or something.
Something like that.
Yeah, no, there's a line about it that when she's telling Carlos a little bit later why she left them, because they were tracking her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. A lot of that, again, the science in this is so loosey-goosey, it doesn't even need to matter. Yeah. Again, I keep now thinking about, why are you going through all this effort, Umbrella Corporation? Like, who are you selling to? And why is her blood so important? Is skill of defending yourself against zombies genetic? Like that's a genetic trait? Like blue eyes and brown hair?
Is it like they mentioned the second one that the virus bonded with her specifically.
Right.
And it involved the T virus on like a cellular level. And in this one, I guess they have a serum derived from the clone blood, which is doing something, but basically it's just an excuse so they can recreate the Annalisa scene from Day of the Dead.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I mean that's 100%.
Yeah.
I mean I've only seen Day of the Dead once, but it was funny when he's putting the block together and he gets and he picks up the phone and I'm like, that's not a phone you have anymore.
Not just any phone, a Sony Ericsson phone.
Oh boy, was it? Oh boy, pairs beautifully with your Sony Vaio laptop. Lots of Sony products.
I love how this movie also sets up the most useful ability ever, which is listening to sounds of cans and knowing what's inside of it.
I love, what? They go through great lengths to make these crew members endearing with zero personality. Everyone's got this cute little quirk. Like, and Claire cares so much. You have the can shaking guy. That way,
man with cowboy hat.
The man with cowboy hat who's good with a high-powered sniper rifle. Everybody has this tiny little detail that the author, the writer, Mr. Anderson, pops in just to make you care a little bit when they're eventually dispatched in a brutal, gross way. The
man with a cowboy hat, who is a Paul W.S. Anderson alum, because he was Johnny Cage in the original Mortal Kombat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Lyndon Ashby.
Get out of here.
And he's named Chase in this and doesn't do anything but die.
You could.
No, he does a lot. He
does
perks up on that fake Eiffel Tower, plugging away zombies with buckets of bullets that he never brought up with him. By the way, like I don't know, in his tight jeans. I don't know. I guess it has lots of mags hiding in there. I guess
that metal must have been really hot climbing.
Yeah. Baking. Oh. Again, these are all things I'm now thinking about as I'm talking to you. When I was in the middle of it, I was just watching and having fun. I'm like, I think I now understand. This is a very quick side aside. I now understand what it must be like for people to listen to this show and listen to me shit all over movies they like. They're like, I don't know. I just had fun watching it. And I'm like, yeah, and this doesn't make sense. I'm now having like this reverse reaction of me saying, shut up, Bill. I had fun. Now I'm not having fun anymore. Damn it. I apologize to every listener I've annoyed with my senseless comments.
That's not true, Bill. I enjoyed the review of Midsommar. It's okay.
Midsommar was good. During the only other thing with the convoy, like when Alice first shows up to the convoy and then she ends up, I was thinking of this. I'm like, oh, she's using the Force, and my wife like, no, she's Jean Grey, because like she stops.
My fucking God damn it!
She stops the flamethrower and like curves it so that way they don't get touched by the flame, and it's 100% a Jean Grey thing.
That's more Invisible Woman with force fields. Like you can't control.
Can't Jean Grey do the same thing though?
Perhaps. But it's more like moving objects, not like fire.
I feel like Jean Grey's made shields before.
Well, probably. I know in Lego Marvel Superheroes, she makes one so you can travel underwater. So
also,
but,
I feel
Invisible Woman because Invisible Woman, isn't that her specialty to make barriers and go invisible?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think about Invisible Woman much when I think about Marvel characters, just because they haven't been in MCU.
Does anyone else also think it's a bad idea to use fire on on zombie crows? I feel like that would actually make it like progressively worse.
I mean, it would destroy them, I guess.
It's a good crowd control,
right? It's a good AOE. It's just kind of just set it off everywhere. In the crows, first off, yeah, I agree with you. Birds are not. It sounds like I have tons of phobias. I don't love birds. I don't really like anything that flits. Like that's erratic in that way. And you're right, Mike. It was a very strong horror moment. But when they showed the goofy zombie eyes on these crows, I laughed so hard. I had a large, genuine guffaw. That's so stupid. But I had a smile on my face as I said those words. And the goofy zombie eyes on the crows. I think they've been eating the dead flesh. And then now you got zombie. But you know what? If you have zombie dogs, then you can absolutely have zombie crows. But yeah, that scene of them just covering everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have a video. I'm in Texas, and I think it was right before a big storm, and we were driving down the road, and there was a scene. We were at a stoplight, and every pole and wire was covered with grackles, and grackles are like blackbirds, like crows, just covered in blackbirds. It was terrifying. And again, I know they're not going to come and murder me, but just all these creatures sitting out on these poles and wires, literally blanketing. I have a picture. I'll have to send it over to you guys. It was very unnerving. So it was a very effective moment. And watching people getting their eyes pecked out by, that's tough.
Yeah, no, it definitely it was a tough scene to watch. Like it's just such a good horror moment, and like everything bad is happening. The truck gets stuck. The bus, they're trying to hold back the glass, like because the bus runs into a pole because you can't see. Just all this shit happening at once, and just how much this crew is just murdered by these crows. Because they cut down a lot of it before that happened.
Hey, remember my favorite part of BioShock Infinite? Murder of crows. Murder of crows is great. You know what? Birds pecking things, very sinister and good. So, hey.
I really thought it was there's bad guys on both sides. That part.
You know what, Mike? Yeah.
Don't listen to our 3-hour episode about BioShock Infinite. Would you go find out?
I don't even know.
If you haven't listened, if you don't get the jokes I'm making.
If you want to hear me not like things you like, that is the perfect story. All right, we can't go on that tangent.
This is when the convoy, then she tells them their whole, they come up with a plan to go to Alaska, even though you're not gonna I was thinking to myself how the fuck are you gonna drive from Nevada to Alaska and think you're gonna be okay?
This actually makes a lot of sense to me, though. I really like how they approach it, and this is the point where the movie starts to really sag. Alice is talking to Claire, and then Alice reconnecting with Carlos. And this is all the breaths that are taking. This part really does kind of sag like a hammock. But I will say I like the presentation of Alice found this book. It looks like there may be safety in Alaska. Hey, let's go to Alaska. And the rationale ends up being, what else the fuck are we gonna do?
Yeah,
stay here and die. And everyone goes, okay, fair point. And then they leave. I think it's very natural. I like that.
Okay, I think it's more of just my issue with the Hulk movie. They're just, how are you you're gonna get all the way from you should be thinking, okay, we're gonna stop here and we're gonna go here, then we're gonna go here because but I guess you don't need all that. You can just drive north for a
Well,
while.
that's why they decide to go to Vegas to refuel. They know they're not going to make it, and they talk about it. Like, it's clearly not working out. Like, they need to be on the move. And it's all set up in the beginning. She says we have to stay on the move because they all converge. I get it. But I think it's a very, I just think it's a good natural thing. And it serves the movie well because it gets us out of this sloggy middle part where we're all just kind of sitting around campfires and eating
and to get to
dust
Vegas. Vegas is
shaking cans.
The Vegas part is
It's sad.
okay. It's a fun action scene.
I have like 2 jokes I want to make though.
Yes, please.
About the Vegas joke. So, all right, y'all. So let's say Mr. Albertin invites us on the podcast. You know, it's me and Blair and Bill, and some random guy shows up, and he goes, "Hey, y'all." And we're like, "Hey, who are you?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm John Smith. You know, Mike said I could have the podcast. I'm taking over." Well, how do we know that's true? Oh, here's my recording of him. Hi, this is Mike Albertin, and I think that John should have the podcast. See you later. Okay.
There was like 2 Simpsons setup of John Smith 1882 and hello Smithers, you are quite good at turning me on.
Yeah.
It's like the horrors of AI, folks.
Are you talking about the
The
doctor where he
CEOs
takes the
can get
one voice recording and just like uses it to take control?
I love it. He's
That was funny.
amateur
And
Odyssey work.
in contrast to, like, you know, you like, okay, what else are we gonna do? Let's go to Alaska. Like, he talks to like Chairman Wesker and he's like, okay, we have this psychic energy burst in the desert, and she's with people that Alice knows. Yeah, it's a high probability that it's her. Nah, we want 100%. It's like, what else are you guys doing? Like, they're probably like playing ping pong in the break room, like waiting for something to happen. It's like, whatever, fuel the chopper. If it's her, great. If it isn't, what else have we lost other than like a bit of helicopter fuel?
A little bit of time and some effort. Ma, please, I'm playing a game right now. I can't come. Okay, give me 15 minutes. No, if it's not 100%, I'm not going up there. Come on, forget it. Not happening.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, why not just? But I guess he just didn't give a shit.
He doesn't give a shit.
But here's a question too. I thought Wesker was like, I don't know, cool and capable, not some twerp in bad sunglasses. Isn't Wesker supposed to be like
gotten there yet? I
We
mean,
haven't
to
gotten
be
there yet.
fair, the games. Well, maybe Blair can speak to it
I'm
better.
saying in the games, right? Isn't Wesker like some sort of badass?
When he gets powers, right, Blair?
Yeah, Kovarak. Well, that's because he dies in the first one, and then I believe it was like Shinji Mikami or someone was like, we never intended to bring him back. He was just dead, and then someone came up with this idea of let's like bring him back, and now he has like weird resurrection powers. So he has like super speed and strength and stuff like that.
They didn't add his, like, because in Zero it explains that he's actually a higher up, kind of, and that's not added until I think after Code Veronica as well, right?
Well, they kind of established in the first one that he's basically with Umbrella. They don't say like his rank, but it shows him in the slides, even in '96, where he's like part of the scientist team, or you see like a guy with glasses, and it's like, oh, that's Wesker.
No.
But yes, to answer Bill's, yeah, he becomes a badass later. Resident Evil 5 is the big one that makes him a badass, which hadn't come out yet at this time.
Okay, because I'm thinking Wesker. I'm like, yeah, Resident Evil 5.
The next movie will be heavily inspired by Resident Evil 5 when it comes to Wesker. I can say that. So you'll see, hopefully not a year.
Okay.
Maybe I'll finally wrap up this damn series. But 4 and 5, I think there's a lot more Wesker. At least 4. It's been so long.
He's in 4 a bunch, and in 5, he's kind of just like, he's literally the objective giver. Because 5 is literally a video game.
Okay. I remember bits and pieces of 5. I'm watching part of it right now on YouTube, just like clips, and I can't remember a whole lot. But yeah.
Oh, and then they get to Vegas, and instead of being like, oh hey, there's a big container, should we open it? You could be like, no, fuck it, just like get a bucket and we'll just transfer the gasoline that way. We're not gonna fucking open this container.
Well, they don't open it. It just gets open when they get too close to it.
Okay, I guess.
Yes,
So
I mean, they don't know if it's an umbrella container. It could have just been something that was there beforehand.
Yeah. The only part that I didn't get to me was like, are there no other gas stations that aren't near a tunnel of evilness? Like, you couldn't go somewhere, go, hey, well, it's Vegas. I've been in Vegas. I can guarantee you there's more than one gas station.
But like they said, it was like Vegas, I'm assuming they have infrastructure now that basically it's like, okay, all this sand is coming, so we have to get it all out. But because no one was maintaining it, like the sand had just kind of engulfed the state. So that's why everything was like half buried. So it's like, okay, we have to get to like the underground of the like casino or wherever.
Yeah, I just figured they could. I mean, like, I don't know what I want to say.
So,
I mean, it was okay. It was fine. I mean, it was a fine scene. I mean, I knew like the zombie stuff when they come out of that place and just start running and killing everybody. I mean, that was fine.
I was a little confused because when they open up that door, maybe I was just in between chomps of chips, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I thought it was like a storage container. So I'm like, okay, I guess they're opening a storage container to get. I didn't see it as like an entryway to the casino. I just saw it as like this weird storage container. That's probably what it was.
They weren't trying to open it. They were trying to go past it into the tunnel. And when they get too close to the storage container, she hears something's in it. And that's when it was just like a trap, I guess, because there's an earlier, very like small, like 2-second scene of the helicopters flying and they're carrying that big thing.
That's what. Okay, so
but it's forgettable. It's like there for just a brief second of helicopters.
It is like a storage container thing because a lot of freaking zombies come out of that one. Like
and they're all
500 zombies come out. Like it's
outfit.
A clown. Like it's a clown car. It was like a clown car of zombies, and I kept thinking, how are these zombies getting out? So it was just something dumb. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was funny how they're all wearing the same outfit. Like, what did you do? Kill these guys and then go, okay, before you die, put on this outfit. But why, boss? Don't worry about it. It's not outfit.
They put them in birthing tubes right next to all the all the Alices.
And even now, and I hate because I love this movie, and I guess now I'm picking it apart. Why? I guess they needed to fight her, but it's like, why even bring? I guess you're testing. It's like they're testing this monster, like this new version of the zombie, but for what means? And again, they just could have showed up and been like, okay, let's all cards on the table, no guns. Let's just have a conversation. Here's how we end this. Just give us a few pints of blood and we'll fix the earth.
Yeah, this is gonna.
Like, we're gonna bring our immersed container of super zombies that are gonna destroy all your friends. That are gonna make us even more susceptible to this. Even like, well, I guess they had to set up their like wireless network to like hack her, and they needed time to do that. But like, they could have just like stealthily landed somewhere and just worked on the computer.
It's all of this could have been solved with a little common sense and a conversation. Yeah, could you please just hey, I think we're all on the same page here, right? Guys, are we all on the same page? Yeah, we've seen the error of our ways. New management has stepped in. Goofy Wexler with his dumb sunglasses. He's not around anymore. Let's just,
Not even around.
I come in peace. It is
a different country.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
He's in Japan.
But then we wouldn't get a great scene of people monsters getting mowed down by bullets and lots of very good, fun action. I think it's a very well done action scene.
It is. There's one part where Alice spins in a circle for no reason at all, just to do it. Like, I'm like, this works.
I'm here for that stupidity. I am super here for that. For some reason, again, maybe it's because we live in an apocalyptic hellscape of our own, right? Maybe we live in a society that's just literally crumbling around us. Tee-hee-hee. I am more and more with every passing year allowing myself to just enjoy shit. Because, holy God, it's getting harder and harder every day.
The things I put in my notes is one of the guys that dies during the scene, his name was Mikey.
Oh, yeah.
My notes, like, Mikey dies. One of the drivers that doesn't matter of the convoy.
The one Claire kind of has a thing with.
He's the guy piloting or driving the news truck. She does a lot of neck slashing and chest stabbing in these zombies. It's like, you know how to kill these things, right?
Well, next time you kill a zombie?
Well, what I was saying earlier, this is like after 4, but before 5. So I think the idea is the super zombies are a little bit more human. So they will die because a lot of the zombies don't even get headshots. They get shot in the chest a couple times and they go down.
Right. Yeah.
Are they supposed to be more? I guess they're supposed to be more infected than zombies because Resident Evil would probably. I mean, 4 was alady out at this time and 5's already in production. So
they wouldn't know that.
But this version of the zombie can't be worse than the ones in 1. And remember, in Resident Evil 1, they made a whole big deal of how many clips am I going to put into a zombie. And
well, they also didn't know what they were like fighting until like they talked to the Red Queen, and she's like, blunt force trauma to the cranium or severing the spinal cord is the only way to kill them. You know,
No,
the whole zombie trope of like, oh, I shot him like 20 times. He's getting back up.
Right. But I think also in this one, though, because I think to someone's point, she's just slashing their chests. Like she's just giving them like rough lacerations with her machetes.
Yeah,
Like,
that shouldn't stop them. And then
right.
they even shut her down for part of the fight when the satellite thing finds her. They just turn her off. Like
Which
she's
was
a robot.
so weird. That one, another thing. See, I did like this movie until I started talking about it. Damn it. I know what you feel like, audience. Audience, I now apologize for 5 years worth of blathering. I was thinking like, okay, this is like to be the turn. Like, oh, they're gonna turn her off. Great. Okay, that's neat with their oldie time satellite. And then she just overrides it and that's it. Okay. But that doesn't go anywhere.
She doesn't just override it. She telepathically somehow connects to the satellite and burns out a chip, so it doesn't work.
Wesker looking at fucking Dr. Isaac, just like, do you have any idea how much it takes to fucking launch a satellite into space during the apocalypse?
I mean, it's probably been up there since before then, I'm guessing.
Yeah, but the point
Can't
is
launch
like,
it now.
yeah, they wouldn't be able to launch a new one. Like they just have a dead piece of fucking satellite in the fucking in space now. They can't do shit with because he wanted to try to fucking figure something out.
How's this for not thematic, Jesus. How's this for some weird parallel? My wife and I were in the midst of watching Voyager. We're slowly but surely going through
My
it.
condolences.
I kind of love it. It's kind of delicious in the stupidity. That's season 3. There's some bonkers, wackadoo stuff going on in that one. Boy, oh boy, talk about edibles. Anyway, we just got to the point in season 4 where I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but there's a scene where Cass, she has her final episode. She has a moment where she like fixes things with her brain. And she's like evolving to her next level of consciousness or whatever it is. And I had that thought. I was like, this is exactly. I have now seen 2 pieces of media within the last 24 hours where somebody breaks or fixes something with their brain. It was a very odd parallel for me. So, hey, there you go. There's 2 connecting points for Voyager and Resident Evil Extinction.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they got rid of her to replace her with essentially Jerry Ryan. Like we don't want this girl anymore. Here
they
we got Jerry Ryan now.
They're like, we don't need you anymore. Whoop! Here's Jerry Ryan, and now it's just Star Trek 7 of 9. Now all it is now.
One thing too, I told Mike I need to actually like commit to it. I want to start like editing videos. One thing that I was thinking of while watching this, I want to re-get the scene where like Alice is like fighting zombies. And then you have the scenes where like the other people are fighting zombies. But when the people are fighting zombies, it's really somber, like sad music. But whenever it goes back to Alice, it plays Bayonetta's Fly Me to the Moon. Just because that's exactly what it is. It's just her whooping so many people's asses. And then you have like 3 people having a rough time with like 1 zombie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't do very good. I mean, because this is when you have Kmart, who I forget when she tells like her name's Kmart because they found her at a Kmart. And I was thinking, so that means Blair, should I still start calling you Twitter now? Because I found you on Twitter?
Please don't.
I do think it's creative. It's also funny that they went with Kmart because like of all the companies you could have thought of, like you picked the one that doesn't exist anymore.
Walmart was too much money.
That's right. That's right.
Was Kmart still around in 2007? Yeah, no, it was. No, it was. I went to one in 2014 for sure. I remember it with my girlfriend at the time to go do layaway. So it was existed.
I haven't seen a Kmart since 2001, and this movie came out in 2007. But I also live in Texas.
I live in Newfoundland. We haven't had Kmart here since like the Spawn movie came out.
Kmart didn't actually die until 2021.
Yeah.
So I guess it was still around a little bit. But yeah, no, I don't think much about like there's not many Kmarts. So I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny. And then like during the fight, I do like when Alice like near the end of the fight, she realizes where they are. Like when they get the satellite reimage and they see the camera, they're like, "Where's she going?" I wanted them to like. I think they see the tent and like, "Oh shit, she's coming here." I like that. Like you just load up the camera, like, "Oh no," and she just murders everybody. Like I thought she was gonna get captured or something. Because I couldn't remember a whole lot of this movie.
Well, if you go back to our previous episode and listen to my commentary, you'll hear that I say that Umbrella spent all their money on biogenetics and not dog shit on fucking protective armor because in the last movie they get pulled apart like they're wearing fucking goddamn marshmallow suits.
Right?
Yeah, they don't have good armor here. And what is the name of the black guy again? It's not it was it CJ or LJ?
Yeah,
I think it's LJ, isn't it?
Put
Maybe
LJ in my
LJ,
notes, but I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Like he's the one that bites Carlos. I couldn't remember. Like I knew Carlos died in this movie, but I couldn't remember how. And that's Carlos gets bit. And I guess their whole thing. Oh, their whole thing is after they find out about the doctor and they see the helicopter. Then their whole plan, like we were talking about earlier, is to get in this helicopter to fly to Alaska from Vegas in one hopefully fueled up helicopter with way too many people on. Okay.
Oh, and then Dr. Isaacs gets bit and uses like 5 antiviruses on himself and it doesn't work.
I know. All that work.
Like, I also thought it was funny, like, they just let him get to it. Like, you know how much those cost, sir?
I know.
Nothing, because money has no meaning.
They're right, exactly. We're in a
Well, I was just
fallen
thinking, like,
society that none of this matters anymore.
Like, when you have that scene when the umbrella guy goes to him and he's like, how many antiviruses did you use? And you just see a big empty thing where all the vaccines were. I thought that was funny. And he's like, it doesn't work. I gotta keep injecting. Like, the vaccine is just the virus itself, but a weaker version of it in most cases. But yeah. So inject yourself with more of it won't protect you.
Also, imagine like working at a company and being told you're being fired and then just getting shot in the fucking chest.
Yeah.
I did like that. And then I guess that's what morphs him. Or why he mutates. I didn't realize he was a tyrant. All the times I've seen this movie 2 or 3 times. It wasn't until this viewing that I realized, oh, he's a tyrant.
Weirdly enough, same.
Heavily, yeah. I mean, it's what they can do with their low budget prosthetics. Yeah.
So what was the name of the monster?
It's essentially just a tyrant.
Yeah, it's essentially the Resident Evil big bad is like, it's called a tyrant. It's like a monster with like claws, a big clawed hand, and it's kind of heart beating on the outside of its chest.
But as the games progress and the tyrants have like different,
looks.
Like the Outbreak one doesn't have the heart weakness, I don't think. God, it's been a while since I played Outbreak.
Just to kind of go, just to go to quickly to this moment here. We didn't really mention the tension and how good the director is at creating tension. But this is easily the most, you're saying tension, this is the most tense I've felt in a Resident Evil movie thus far. And 1 has its moments, 2, they try. But this one, there's some real times of dread. Like there's some moments where she's walking around in the darkened laboratory and surrounded by bodies and all that fun stuff. It really, the jump scares that come from this movie are actually pretty effective. And I think really is another reason why I quite enjoyed it, because it felt more competent than what Mr. Anderson did previously. So this scene that's like where I think we're at now is when they're in there.
Right after it.
Yeah.
After it's because you have the part where Carlos drives the truck and blows up.
Which was really kind of anticlimactic, kind of.
Yeah.
I was really expecting a lot more from that. Like the truck full of They
didn't really have fuel. They were out of fuel, but I guess it had.
So how did it blow up like that? Because
No. There was fuel there, but they were the tanker, the canister, whatever the fuck it's called, the thing that they dropped was full of zombies. So there was still gas there. The zombies just fucked them up.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Now, I'm gonna need to have this discussion because boy, my brain just went to some places. So Carlos gets bitten by LJ.
Yes.
Right.
Who was just bitten by a regular ass zombie in the wild.
Yes.
So in part 2, Carlos got bitten by a zombie, and then he was given the antivirus and was fine. So his body doesn't have any antibodies for protection?
Wow. Oh,
maybe if the vaccines only last 6 months like they do for COVID.
It could be. Because, I mean, it probably mutates. Yeah.
It's been 5 years. Yeah, he did
COVID's back. I mean...
Yeah, because, I mean, diseases do, or viruses do mutate. Diseases don't.
And I guess like he's coughing up blood right away, but LJ was like, there for a couple of days and just
he was
we just gotta
woozy.
get there.
Yeah.
Just like put a brick on the gas pedal with a dynamite in it.
Yeah, they could have done that.
There's lots of rocks around here, guys.
But I guess he was going to die anyway. He might as well go out in a blaze of glory.
Yeah, much better than LJ, who put more people in peril thanks to his selfishness.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, let's put a rock on the gas pedal. We'll light the fuse. It'll blow up the thing. Then we'll drive in with the other trucks. Go get the thing. You have at least the day.
Yeah,
but they didn't even drive into the base. He drives it looks like he purposely crashed it before he gets to the gate.
Well, because
I think it's just like he's a bit overwhelmed. I think with all the bodies.
Yeah, because it is plowing through. It is literally doing like Vampire Survivors style, plowing through hordes of bodies. That's literally what this thing is doing, and that was what was anticlimactic about it for me. Was it kind of does that tilt over, whoa, and it falls over, and I'm like, oh, I wanted this thing just to cut a giant swath through the bodies, but of course it does not. It does give us a great opportunity for him to pop a little joint before blowing himself to smithereens. That was fun.
I did like that. I thought
Yeah,
that
it's
was
fine.
funny.
It was neat. It was cute.
It was a cute
adorable.
payoff because there's
Yeah.
one other scene where Claire's looking for finds a smoke machine, but there's no cigarette. So it was a little scene that was just funny.
That wasn't a cigarette. That was a joint.
Oh, I know, but I mean that's what they were talking about smokes, and then it just finds a joint instead, which is
Good
it's
payoff.
fitting.
Good payoff. Yeah. Yep. Hey, finally found one.
And then this is when Claire's group gets on the helicopter and flies off.
And
In the
she doesn't
helicopter,
fi-
they should not be able to fit in.
and Alice doesn't follow them, which is a little strange. Maybe Alice knows aerodynamics much more than them. Like, hey, I didn't say this could take you all the way to Alaska. I'm gonna try it here. I don't understand why she decided to stay. Like, hey, let's
think
take out
because
the evil corporation that's not really doing much of anything.
I think she felt that if she didn't go, they would keep tracking her.
Yeah.
And get
Yeah,
her.
that's fair. That's fair.
Because she doesn't know that they're all dead down there.
That's true. Good point.
They could have had a line of like, okay, we're going to take the helicopter. Does anyone know how to fly this? Oh, I took some flying lessons with my brother, wink, wink.
Yeah.
There's a line of dialogue because her brother,
Yeah.
Chris Redfield, is an Air Force pilot.
That would have helped because I saw her taking off and I'm like, so you can pilot this thing pretty quickly. Wow, you're rather good at this. But again, I'm having fun.
Yeah. Like I also speaking of things that I enjoyed that I was having fun with, like I did enjoy when she goes down there and you have the AI talking to her. That's like, the sisters of the Red Queen, but nicer.
Okay,
cool.
I
Good moment.
want to bring up that AI because
No, Blair.
No.
well, not for the reasons that you think, because I'm gonna need everyone, if we're coming back for 4, to put a pin in some of the things she says.
Okay.
Because, well, this one it's like, okay, the world is destroyed, and in part 4, there's trees and lakes and crap again. So this AI says there's enough equipment in here to synthesize a cure to reverse the biohazard. So she can fix the world from this facility. This is a line of dialogue the computer says. I just want everyone to put a pin in that as we go to 4, 5, and 6.
Huh.
Okay. I don't remember any of this.
Well, I don't know. I remember that, and actually, that makes sense because I think what Blair's basically getting at is why the fuck do we have 3 more movies after this?
That have a world full of zombies when they don't establish that she tried to cure anything before the start of 4. She just went there and did that first when she should have did the other thing first. Because, like, there's still zombies, but there's also trees. So they just kind of, it gets worse as it goes along, especially at the end where they just forget the universe that they built.
I mean, you could say that about this movie because one thing that I've been waiting for the end, but since you're bringing that up, they say at the beginning of the movie that the world's basically turned to a desert, but the movie ends where Japan, it's still raining.
Yeah. Right. There you
Don't
go.
they go away from that desert thing too, though?
Yes, they do. And there's actually
Okay.
a reason for that, which I think is funny because they actually do explain why that scene exists at the end of this movie, but it's spoilers, so I'm not going to get into it.
Okay.
Oh,
I
yeah,
just-
yeah.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a very well observed point, Blair. I don't know.
Movie's got a movie.
Because this basically, I don't know if they ever plan to do more, which is, I guess, why they probably don't tease Chris. Because this very much feels like a conclusion, even though they kind of, I would call it a smart, because I'm just thinking of a lot of media now where for example, I was watching a show called Heels, and season 2 ends on a very big cliffhanger that is not going to get resolved because the show got canceled. And it's happening a lot more in media, I find, where people set up things either presuming they're going to get a pickup or that they're going to get some way to pay it off, and then this is left unresolved. So people have to think, make a conclusion that works, but also can kind of do something for more, which is what this movie does. Because it very much feels like an ending for the series. And I don't know if they ever expected to do more, but then I guess, because the next one wasn't until another 3 years later.
Yep. Next one is 3 years, and the other 2 are 2 years apart.
Well, yeah, 5 is like 2 years, and Resident Evil 6 was like 2017, I think. It was like a long-ass time.
2016. Oh, no, you're right. Yeah, 5 is 2012, and then 6 is 2016, so that was 4 years later.
Yeah,
Damn.
because, there's reasons, because people died making
Oh,
them.
yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so I guess where are we now?
We're at where she goes down into the lab looking for the doctor because the doctor's locked downstairs.
Right,
and
doctor's locked.
She fights the Tyrant. I mean, some cool scenes and where she's and also where she finds the clone of herself too.
Yeah, she finds the clone, bursts the bubble. Dang, I was hoping that was a better pop sound. Oh well, sorry, I've ruined it. Mix that in there. Mix a pop sound in there. Do a little work there, Albertin. So that she pops the bubble. No chesticles. Clone pops out, still covering herself demurely. That's fine. Again, I'm not here for this. That's not a thing. And all of a sudden, she takes on the bad. I'm gonna quote the great Michael K. Hughes. It's fine. And I'm very glad he's doing a podcast again. That way I can just hear him go, it's fine again on a podcast. It makes me very happy when he does that. So yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I do like the conclusion. It kind of bookends well when they go back into the cube room. And evidently, when you have a clone also remembers all the things that you did. See, memories are genetic too. See? Memories are genetic. Everything's genetic. So your clone can know exactly how to turn off the computer, even though it was just reanimated 2 seconds before. It still knows how to do all that stuff. Again, which is stupid, but it's fine.
I think it's funny that they have the Alice clone program to like wake up and have a panic attack and then immediately go unconscious.
I know. Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's more of just like you're being born and your brain can't process everything that just happened. And I don't think she was supposed to be born yet. That's how I took it too.
Yeah, that's how I kind of go. She was prematurely popped with the bubble, but then she's perfectly fine enough to just again deprogram the laser grid and save herself, literally herself. Yeah, it was fine. Again, I think the costuming is really cool. I think that the monster looks good. I think the CGI of the tentacles coming out is very funny and bad. That's probably the worst CGI in the movie.
Yeah, I laugh at his claw hands because you can tell that they're like rubber and not just very rigid.
Just rubber bouncing around. Yeah,
because they're supposed to be like claws, but I'm just like, oh no, these things are like shaking around.
They're all wibble wobbling around. Yeah, it was not. I know exactly the scene you're talking about. It's like a silhouette. He's turning a corner, and those things are just shaking like a California quake. Just blah, 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 blah.
They smartly keep it in shadow.
Yes, they really do. But it's good. It's effective, and he's definitely a menacing monster. I don't love the big bads in these Resident Evil movies because they just these big lumbering beasts. They're just tanks. Is that also the thing in the game?
Well, here's the thing about the Resident Evil universe.
Okay.
All of these people, like all these Umbrella people, these mad scientists are like, I am the future. I am the new god. And they're just big, goopy monstrosities with 40 eyeballs. Yeah. And that's what I love. It's like, you thought you were the future. I am the future. I'm like, you're just a stupid monster. The future of like, she has opposable fingers and like is a human being. And you're just like this big. Like, can you imagine, like, this guy shows up at the hologram meeting in, like, a suit, and it's like, Dr. Isaac's like, your weird tentacle hand is, like, not in frame. Can you, like, stand still?
I am the new god. You can't even fit in the elevator to leave this bunker. Do you realize?
You can't use a computer? Like, you can't even dress yourself.
You really can't dress yourself. You're not very effective, new god of humanity. In the next evolution, you're not an upgrade, sir. You're a downgrade. You're like you're poor. It was Blair's computer. You can't upgrade it. Don't upgrade. You're not achieving anything. Yeah, that is a very funny moment. But hey, we got to see the goop grid again. That's always fun. Although it was only like in a little TV screen, and I want to see that slowly slide apart. No,
the cube was cool. I was glad they brought that back.
That's a movie we should watch. The Cube.
It's a weird movie.
We should watch The Cube. Yes.
Yeah. It's a game too now. Do you know that, Bill?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. There's two. There's Cube and Cube Squared. Is there a third one too?
There's Cube 2, Hypercube, and Cube 0.
That's right. It's Hypercube. It's great.
What the hell is this? This is a horror movie?
They're filmed in Canada. Movie. They're Canadian productions.
That's cool. Right. It is a Canadian movie. We should watch Cube. Let's add Ken Sanity. Should we watch Cube? Let's just pull our favorite horror fan.
If you go to our Discord, you can recommend horror movies in Ken's horror channel.
Yes, you can. I'll put that as soon as we're done here. Like, Ken, should we do the Cube? The answer should be yes.
And then after pretty much the end of the movie is after the clone saves Alice. That's when you get the small scene in Tokyo, which is supposed to reference, I guess, where Wesker is, even though he's not in Tokyo in the fourth movie, from what I remember.
But, oh yeah, he is. They go to full on Tokyo.
God, I haven't seen the fourth movie since 2010 and the fifth movie since 2012. So
okay, we're gonna have some minor spoilers for the start of Resident Evil Afterlife for Bill. There is actually a small army of supermodels that go to an assault on an Umbrella base.
Oh, I think I know what he's talking about.
Oh boy.
I know what he's talking about now. Okay. But I like the Tokyo stuff. I like how they go to the effort. They do it multiple times throughout the movie to show you how far underground these labs are, and just like they do like that hologram thing. They like show the towers. I always like that diagram. For some reason, I'm like, that's cool. That's cool. And I guess this is when Wesker's talking, and she comes on the hologram and says, "We'll see you soon," or something like that.
Yeah. With her army of cells.
My friends.
Now here's a question, and you can feel free to spoil it. This movie ends, and I'm like, oh, that's neat. And then I think this is going to get really stupid if the next movie is just an army of Alice's. Like, this is not going to be good. Does this ever pay off?
They open with like.
Do we have an army of Alice's?
Yeah, it's not as many as are in the facility, which should be in the facility fixing the world.
Right.
First, I'm going to go attack a businessman and say, no. You fix the universe, and then you attack the businessman with your army of clones. Yeah, it's like, no. Like, first I have to get my revenge on Scientist Man. It's like, no. There's like, it's like, they do like 5, 6, 7, but then they basically, again, minor spoiler, they all get blown up.
Oh, yeah, right. Clearly.
Also, I really hope you're excited for the next 3D movie. I already said it. Hope you're excited for the next 3 movies, Bill, because the next 3 movies are when they invented 3D. So people get 3D to death in the next 3 movies.
No. You mean
is it all 3? I know it's 5 for sure. It was 3D.
Oh, 4. Like the Executioner Magini throws his camera at, or throws his axe at the camera.
Oh no, I can't stand those early all the 3D movies when they were just shoehorning in a technology that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted it.
The final chapter's not too bad. What is it? The 5th one, it's funny because I'm on YouTube and it has all of them on the side. Retribution, which is the second to last one, is kind of like bad, but Afterlife is completely like fucking there's a scene where like Wesker throws his sunglasses at the camera.
Oh, for God's sake! because evidently the filmmakers want us all the audience to grab them. We're gonna grab it.
One of my favorite things in the world is, I don't know if anyone else watches Red Letter Media.
Yeah, I knew you were going there.
The Rich Evans laugh.
Yeah.
And they, for back in when 5 came out, they did a review of the entire Resident Evil series. So they watched all 4 back to back. And by part 4, they basically were loopy. And there's a part in 4 where they just like uproariously laugh. And they have a clip of that. And I constantly go back and watch it because it's so funny.
The Rich Evans. Love that.
I can't imagine watching all these back to back.
Yeah.
Oh, I've done it.
You know what? Yeah, I probably could. Man, I don't drink anymore. This would be so fun with some sort of substance abuse. Substance abuse.
That's fair.
Some sort of life modifier, I think, would be really good to watch these with.
I'm bummed because I watched this. I have a Blu-ray set that I bought in 2007. But how I should have watched this, because I indeed can. I have the Resident Evil Extinction UMD disc for PSP.
Let's go. I love it. Yeah, that's really funny. Yeah, I don't know if I can watch.
So it's going to be Blair in that PSP commercial walking around with his PSP going, watching Resident Evil.
It's a nut you can play with outside.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done like an edibles or anything like that. So I don't know how that would be augmented, but boy, I'd like to try. Yeah,
it's an interesting experience. I haven't done it lately, but I like it. And it's legal here, so I can. No, they're definitely nice.
It's also legal here, and I can tell you what, you taking an edible for this movie did not fucking help.
Well, it doesn't help when your TV decided to try to crush you too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That movie fall for the movie when the TV fell, it pretty much just ruined the whole movie. After that,
Yeah.
I'm sure your high was gone after that too. So the fun part.
It is so legal in Canada that like my fiance's mom works at a grocery store at the local mall where she was born and grew up. That like marijuana sales are so high, pun completely intended, that the grocery store is carving out another small part of the mall just for that, because I think they're like one of the biggest sellers in the province of like legal marijuana.
Weird.
God damn.
Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, because here they still treat it like they treat it like a medicine. So you have to go and give them your ID, and you have to sit in the lobby because they don't have enough people in the back. And then you have to go and they have to ask you what you want. And they put it like in a Ziploc baggie that you're not supposed to open till you get back home.
Oh my god, here it's basically just like going to the liquor store and being like, yeah, I'm gonna take like this, and you show your ID and like, okay, cool.
We have one nearby, and it's like going to a candy store. I've been in there like because I was getting some for my wife to help her sleep, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll take a pound of peach rings, and I'll take I'll take some of this, and it was just funny. I'm like, this is great.
Not in Texas. Not in Texas.
But hey, I bet you could buy a gun with no ID, nothing probably, huh?
Yeah, no problem. I told you guys a story. The gun catalog was the first piece of mail I ever received when moving to Austin, Texas.
I love that story.
You can piece together your own AR-15. Here you are. Welcome. Yeehaw.
Speaking of which, that's how you know this movie's also a little bit boring. This is the movie with also the least flashiest guns. Be advised, Bill and Blair. Blair already knows. Like, the guns get fucking absurd in like the next 3 movies.
That sounds great. Yeah, this the gun. Yeah, the guns. When the fanciest gun in the movie is something out of Call of Duty, which our cowboy man wears or uses. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
That's what I love. Like, I don't like these movies. Like, this is, kind of where it peaks for me, and they just go downhill because, like, by 5, they also have to fight with the fact that the world ended, but there's still modern movie advertising. So it's like, we have to drive a 2012 car, but it's like, but this 2012 car shouldn't exist.
I was even off put by Alice's really, really cool motorcycle. Like that thing's surprisingly clean and good. And I know they're not great on gas,
like
those things.
Everyone's hair and most people's teeth. Toothpaste was fine. We didn't run out of toothpaste or hair product at all. Yeah, except for the hit girl with her rotten teeth. Everyone else is basically like has better teeth than me.
Yeah, even the cannibals had pretty decent chompers. Yeah,
I guess you would though. You would need good if you're gonna be a cannibal.
No, I think the funnier one is, since you mentioned that, I think like the final chapter, they very much advertise Alice on her like motorcycle that she uses, and it's like a brand new like 2015 like Nissan like sports motorcycle, and it's even got like a smart screen on it and everything. And the way they like explain it is like, oh, it's an umbrella motorcycle, so they're just keeping up with technology.
It's an umbrella that is.
I am excited to see more of the movies now. More than I was.
I'm excited to talk about them, not so much watching them. I cannot wait to do part 6. I know it's going to be a while, it is so, and I don't like to swear on these shows, it is so fucking bad.
I've never seen 6.
Liked it.
I stopped because my life was just busy in 2016. I didn't get around to it, and I really want to go. I mean, that's the only one I missed. I saw the rest of these, and I've just never seen 6. And I'm purposely now been waiting for this podcast to get to it. And even though I control how fast the podcast gets to stuff,
there's more cutscenes in like 30 seconds of more cuts in 30 seconds of footage in part 6 than large chunks of this entire movie.
Yeah, that part where Alice is like beating up the zombies in this movie, imagine that like sped up like 3 times. That's like the final movie.
I just cannot wait to get into and now knowing what I know happens in 6, I completely forgot the twist and how basically it undermines every piece We're gonna get there. We're gonna
I
get
fucking
there.
love that twist, Blair. I want you to know that.
I'm excited. All right, we should go to shelf stacker box,
Yeah.
I think, though. And I'll go first. So I came into this with no expectation. I'm like, this movie's stupid. I don't like it. And I left happy. I'm going to put this in the stack. I had a good time just watching this movie, and I wasn't expecting that. And it was just fun. I mean, it was just a really fun movie to go through. I wasn't bored. I was entertained. I wasn't messing with my phone that much. I was just watching this movie, and I'm like, did not expect that. So going on the stack, because I still have issues, but it deserves my respect this time. What about you, Blair?
I was gonna say stack, but I think I'm gonna put this on the shelf because this movie is like super dumb, but I love it. I don't know. It's not like it's a Resident Evil movie, but it's weird because it's not because it's in the franchise, but it's not what I would expect from this. But I love how it looks. It just pops, like the way the coloring is. I don't know, and I just enjoy it. I love going back to this one. It's probably my favorite Resident Evil movie. This and one are tied.
Okay. And Joe?
I love these movies. I will continue to love these movies, even though I do think this is the weaker of the movies. This is very much a 6-movie series that I actually do agree you can actually watch all these movies back to back and have a very fun time under the influence or not. So this is always going up on the shelf.
Okay. And Bill?
Guys, this week has not been great. Okay, this is personally, work-wise, it's been a very brutal week. Yesterday, in particular, was a tough one. I cannot say why, probably for legal reasons. I can tell you guys later. Nothing I can actually state on an actual podcast.
No.
But it's kind of sucked. Yesterday really sucked. And I sat down to watch this movie on my computer. And boy, oh boy, this is the movie I needed. I needed dumb, stupid. I needed this. And boy, oh boy, did it deliver. I cannot, in good conscience, put it on the shelf because then I really have to redefine what the shelf is. But this is an absolute easy stack. And I would put this kind of at the top of the stack for all the reasons Blair basically mentioned. It's ridiculously dumb, but it's well crafted done. And it's very competently made, and it knows exactly what it is. It's not trying to be more than what a movie of this type should be. And the action's well done. This is something I didn't mention in the episode, but I love the fact a lot of this happens in broad daylight. I think that really lends a lot of scariness, where these movies are 10 times usually in shadow and hiding things. A lot of this carnage happens just in, again, broad daylight in the desert. I think that's really cool and different. So, I'm going to definitely put this on the stack because if I put it on the shelf again, I'd probably have to redefine and really my stuff should be on the shelf. So anyway, that's where I land. I had a blast with this movie, unapologetically.
I'm glad. I was worried that you weren't going to like this one. Didn't think I was going to like this one either. So I'm glad that, we both did.
Yeah.
All right. And at some point we'll get to the next Resident Evil movie. I don't know if it will be a year. I don't want to say it won't be because I don't even know if what I'm doing exactly. But I can say I do want to watch the next movie. So there is that. I will say that. I'm excited to see it for. I just don't know if I want to wait a year or if I want to sprinkle it in sooner or who knows. We'll see. All right. And Bill, where can people find you at?
As I say, feels like every week now.
It is right now because of Spooktober, yes.
I know. We're doing a lot. But I do a podcast entitled Gamer Looks at 40. It's a nostalgia blast. Stories and opinions about different games, systems, and eras. It's a big old campfire where people tell stories about the games that matter the most to them when it's at its best. By the time this comes out, I don't know if I'll be in Final Fantasy land. Maybe we'll see. That is kind of pending and now up in the air, considering how big of a meal that is. But even if it's not, there's all sorts of episodes to check out. There's going to be over 100 episodes, including the sideshows and everything else. So a gamer looks at 40 on Twitter /X. If you're a fan of Elon, and check out the show. I hope you enjoy it.
All right, and Blair, where can we find you at?
You can find me on social media at Blarcade is my handle. On Facebook, you can join the Comic Book Video Games Facebook page, and you can read my work at comicbookvideogames.com. This is coming out in October.
Yes, 10/11, I think.
Well, Hellboy got delayed. So, it's just keep an eye out through October, early November, because we have Hellboy coming, Arkham Trilogy, Spider-Man 2, and then Turok in early November, Turok 3 rather. So It's a good fall season for my particular niche.
Nice. And if I can just one more quick thing, Mike, if I can, if I will be attending the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. I don't know when this is coming out, so it might be over by then.
10,
so I should
12.
probably 10, 12. Oh, 10, 12. I will be there, physically there. If you listen to this on that Saturday, I will be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo it runs from the 13th to the 15th. So if you hear this and you're going to be in that area and attending the show, I don't have a panel. I don't have a booth. I'm just wandering around like an idiot like everybody else. So
Are
if
you wearing
too,
a Gamer Looks at 40 shirt?
I don't have any shirts. I don't have any.
I had one with the old logo. I've really been meaning to make a shirt just to wear it, but I'm too
I
lazy.
should make myself a shirt. I'm actually in the midst of maybe doing a logo refresh. So,
Okay.
we'll get a little stale. But anyway, I do not have a shirt. You'll just have to run around the convention shouting, "Help! Where are you?" And I'll be sure to find you. Or just find me on Twitter and say hi. Meet me by the Super Nintendo games. And there we go. But yeah, I'll be a PRGE attending. I'd love to see you.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, there are over 500 other episodes of this podcast you can find on Podbean. Everything's on Podbean because it doesn't show everything on Spotify. If you want to support the show, we do a Patreon for Little Dog Vote or Patreon poll. I don't know what it is at the moment, but go check it out. It will be published at this time. We always have a different one every month. We also have a Discord we mentioned earlier. If you want to chat with us, you see a link to the Discord. Please join it. We need more people to join the Discord. And then you can convince us to do other things on the show. Right, and we'll give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. You can follow her on TikTok, and you will see in the show notes all her links to everything she has. So definitely in the link tree. So definitely go check that out also. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube. Audio only, but we are on YouTube. I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.